There are a lot of people who have made history that we all know, like Neil Armstrong, the first to land on the moon, or Arnold, one of the best, if not the best bodybuilder of all time. However, there are a few lesser-known legends who have made history like Martin Cooper, the man who made the first call from a wireless cell phone. On the 3rd of April 1973, Martin made his way to a public sidewalk at Manhattan, New York, and made the very first call from a cell phone that he invented called the Dynatac. Then he led a 10-year process to bring this portable cell phone to the market.
And I said, "Hi, Joel, it's Marty Cooper." "Hi, Marty," he says. "I'm calling you from a cell phone, but a real cell phone, a personal, handheld, portable cell phone."
When the Dynatac 8000X was released for sale to the public in 1984 by Motorola, it weighed 30 ounces, or around 850 grams. That's just under a kilo, which today's average smartphone weighs just 200 grams. It cost a whopping $3,995, which in today's money would cost just over 11,000 US dollars, or about 17,000 Australian dollars. The Dynatac took around 10 hours to fully charge, which gave you about 30 minutes of talk time. I remember my very first phone. It was a Nokia 6300. It was released in January in 2007. The Nokia 6300 officially became the best-selling Nokia phone of its time right after its release. It took photos with its amazing high-tech 2-megapixel camera with no flash. It had 2 lights on the side which flashed blue when you got a missed call or text message. Then, about a year later, upgraded to the Nokia 6500 Slide. It was made with beautiful stainless steel finish. This phone had a rear and front camera as well as flash. The rear camera was a whopping 3.2 megapixels which gave you photos at 480p. And the front camera, which could only be used for video calls, gave you a 144p image quality. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I think I'd have women chase me down the bar if I popped one of these bad boys out.
Born to fiddle? Then you'll love the smooth sliding Nokia 6500.
Oh, and by the way, the Nokia 6500 Slide also had a sister. It was called the Nokia 6500 Classic. It was basically the same phone, just without the slide function.
Attention, I have a new mobile phone here at the station master's office. It's a Nokia 6500 Classic. It's fairly slim. Looks fabulous. Feels really, really nice. Oh, it's not lost. It's mine. I just wanted to tell you about it.
The first generation of the PlayStation console, or PS1, was released in Japan in December 1994, then to the US in September 1995. The PS1 was priced at $299 US, a lot cheaper than that Dynatac 8000X. In July 2000, around 5 years since the original PS1 was released, an upgraded smaller version of the PS1 came out. This one had controllers with dual shocks. They're those 2 little knobs on the controller that you see there. You could, however, still use the dual shock controllers for the original PS1. The PS1 also had memory cards. They were 1 megabyte of storage. But you don't use megabytes, you prefer to the space on the card as blocks. And every card had 15 blocks. Most games were 1 block, allowing you to save 15 games. Why? Well, because the PS1 had no internal storage to save your gameplay. Unbelievable, I know. Some of PlayStation 1's most popular games were Ridge Rider, Tekken, and Crash Bandicoot.
3, 2, 1, go! Round 1. Fight.
And two of my personal favourites were Twisted Metal, a game where you pick from 12 vehicles and drive around and shoot your opponent until they run out of health while collecting specials. I always played Sweet Tooth, the ice cream truck. I mean, just look at it, it's a beast. My second favourite was a game called Driver. It was an action driving game where you'd pick from 4 cities like Miami. You'd drive around in an open world map doing missions. Sometimes you'd be chased by police, so you'd have to try and lose them. But Gran Turismo outruns them all. It's the most sold PlayStation 1 game with almost 11 million copies sold worldwide. PlayStation 2 or PS2, the next generation of the PlayStation 1, was released in the year 2000, around 5 years after the release of the PS1. The PS2 would become the most sold gaming console of all time, and it's still to this day the most sold console with over 150 million sold worldwide. Right after its release, it wasn't easy to find PS2s in stores because of how popular it was. I think one reason it was so popular was the amount of PS2 games that were launched with the release of the console. It came with the ability to play online, unlike the PS1 which was all offline. Something that was also very handy with the PS2 was the ability to play DVDs. So you didn't need a separate DVD player because you had the PS2 which would play the DVDs. The most sold PS2 game was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, with over 17 million copies sold worldwide.
Hey man, what you want?
Seeing my homie. What's up with you?
Yeah, homie. Yeah, it's good to see you back. Nice try, asshole.
Shit, Mark.
The PS1 also had Grand Theft Auto, which looked like this. One of my personal favourite PS2 games was Conflict Desert Storm. Conflict Desert Storm was kinda like playing Call of Duty with bots. You had a team of 4, each with their own unique gun, and shoot enemies in open world maps. Also, can't forget to mention Simpsons Hit and Run. Oh boy, I think every PS2 player had this game.
I am evil Homer. I am evil Homer. I didn't do it.
Kind of needs agree to help neighbor, you know?
Let's just get this over with.
Woohoo!
Nothing lasts forever.
Then the PS3 came out in early 2007 to Australia and Europe. The PS3 didn't do as well as its previous generation in terms of sales, probably due to the lack of games or the very high price tag when compared to other released gaming consoles at the time. It did have a very big improvement in quality though, like the ability to play Blu-ray discs. Kevin Slater opened the first Video Easy store in Sydney in a suburb called Hurstville in 1983. From there, these stores started popping up all around Sydney. At the store's peak time, it had over 500 stores across Australia, then eventually bringing a few to other countries. But these online video streaming services would eventually close down all Video Easy stores due to no profit. Who would actually visit a store to rent a movie these days anyway? So now there's not a single Video Easy store left in Australia. From humble beginnings to making millions, probably even billions, to nothing left at all. The PS4 was released in late 2014 and the most sold game is Marvel's Spider-Man.
It's so humiliating taking money from May. I should head out into the city and try to pay it forward.
The PS4 is able to support games and movies of 4K resolution. So we thought, okay, we can't get any better than the PS4, right? But we did. It happened with the PS5, which was released in late 2020. It's double the power of the PS4. Its quality of gameplay is absolutely mind-blowing to anyone